What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. So today we have an unboxing. I know everybody who wants all YouTube channels to just be the same and do the same thing every time the way they like it. You get what you want today. So this is a unique opportunity, so I figured I'd go ahead and do it this way because there are some things to talk about for sure. So for those of you who've been following my channel and some of the sagas that have been going on, you guys know that the Colt saga ended kind of poorly. And so really what I did is, I like to have one 1911 that's set up just the way I like it. And so when the Colt kind of got sidelined, basically, I pulled out my Tisas, my Remington Rand clone, and decided I'm going to rebuild that one. And that's what I did. So essentially what this one got was my, kind of standard grips. It got the Harrison medium smooth trigger. It got a Wilson Combat smooth mainspring housing, just because the Ed Browns that I normally put in are actually polished blue, where this is like, it looks Parkerized. It matches the rest of the gun much better. Took a ton of fitment, like 2.5 hours, which was a little annoying. And then other than that, the gun is it's pretty standard. So it's really just the grips, the trigger, and the mainspring housing. So it's kind of set up the way I like my 1911's stock standard. But I really liked having the Remington Rand clone in stock. So, they had the Halloween sale going on Palmetto. So I thought, man, for $320, I'm just going to buy another one. They're so affordable. So that's what we have here. It's basically another one of these, but there's some different things going on here, and we got to talk about it. There's some changes that, I'll be honest, I'm not a real big fan of. So stay tuned, but let's get right into it. All right, so first off, the Tisas box. I love these cases, actually. I usually, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, but I literally throw away most gun boxes because they're just garbage. The Tisas cases are excellent. I've actually purchased one off of the Tisas website. They're like $25. They're really great. They're really sturdy. The latches are great. And most of all, here's the most important thing. The foam is right. Most of the foam in these cases is like that really fluffy stuff. And man, it holds moisture. This stuff doesn't. So when I'm transporting guns to and from the range or whatever, these are awesome cases. So here we are. Palmetto sticker in the trash. Don't care about that. So you got your normal little doodads that are kind of crap. The brush that is super soft, so you're not cleaning anything with that. It's fine. You got this little gun lock that is worthless, in the trash. You got your bushing wrench, which, okay, fine. I already have 900 of those, so in the trash. So this is going to be a little bit more detailed. We're just going to go piece by piece here, and we're going to talk about everything that's in the box and kind of my views on it. So here we have their sort of plastic World War II grips, right? Texture's fine. I don't make a big deal about it, but the reason I don't like these grips is they are the color of a Wendy's Frosty. They're just not right. They don't pass the eye test, whereas these, which are the correct color, just look at the difference in color there, right? These are the same color as the grips that were originally on the Remington Rand guns when they were brand new in the 40s. Now, I know there's the K-Star grips, and I have a pair of those on the Toad, which I'll pepper in a picture here. And those are ultra, Bakelite, kind of dark red, ruby, plum, all those adjectives and colors. I kind of really like this color because, again, when you look up old pictures of the brand new original contract Rands, these really, they fit that visual. So it's always annoyed me that Tisas chose to go with this baby poop Wendy's Frosty color. How hard is it to just change the color on grips? It's not hard. I already know. It's pigment in the plastic. So they're not the worst in the world. They're fine, but I wish they were a little bit better. And by the way, these grips are going to go on this pistol, so that's why they're out. All right, Got our Metgar magazine. These magazines are just crummy, man. Like, you push on the front and the whole thing tilts. The spring sounds cheap. I just don't like these magazines at all, man. So they work for some people. I'm going to try them out. I've got a bunch of them, but, not a fan of them. Here we have the main show. So we got this little tag on here, and this is how you advertise properly. And I'm sorry, the light's so bright. There we go. So basically this says forged 1911, forged frame and slide, Series 70 internals, uses standard 1911 magazines, HBM, hardened before machined. This is how you advertise to 1911 guys. They're speaking our language. So for those who don't understand, most 1911s are not completely forged. This is one of the greatest things that Tisas does, is not only do they do it right, but they tell you about it. So, yes, this is fantastic. We're going to just stick that in the box. Okay, so the gun comes with these double diamond grips. Now, this is something that, again, it's like Tisas is so random. I don't understand why they can't just do the right thing here. So I have here a few different generations of Tisas grips. So these here are from my 2022 Tisas, otherwise known as Blue. I wrap masking tape around them just to keep them together in pairs, because these are serialized, if you didn't know. Okay, so these are from the 2022 versions, and they're fine. My complaint about them really was they're very dry and dusty looking, and the stain's not very dark. They're well cut. They're nice grips. They're walnuts. They're fine. And here's the beautiful thing about these being sort of untreated, just merely stained and really a satin, is you could stain over these if you wanted to. They're very absorbent, which I've done that in the past. You could also clear coat over them. So it's repairable, but kind of the same thing. They get right to the finish line and then they fall down. And then here is another set of grips from a Tisas that's a few months old, and now we're talking. Look at the difference here. Now that's a good looking set of grips. Nice dark walnut. Man, they just seem cleaner. Everything about them is sharper. They feel better. They don't feel dry and dusty. I mean, look at that. That's a nice grip. And now we get to the brand new stuff, and we've regressed again. Now we have the dry, dusty. We have the light stain. We don't have that nice dark stain. These also look kind of wide and flat. Very pancakey. These don't pass the eye test, I can tell you right now. They just look off. Okay, so let's keep moving. So we have the Type E hammer, which this time I'm pretty sure I'm going to leave this hammer on there because everything I have is wide spur, so I might as well have one with a Type E. Barrel fit is solid, really nice. Grip safety spring is tuned well. Prominent clicks. Okay. Thumb safety is excellent. Perfect. Like, I can't improve on that. That's great. This is the fourth one in a row. Brand new Tisas that I've taken out of the box, and the safety has just been, like, stellar. So they have got that well figured out in my experience. Let's try the trigger. Little take up. A little bit of wiggle. Ooh, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. That's a fantastic trigger. Zero creep. That's nice. I'm not doing a thing to that right now. That's really nice. The action feels good, actually. Okay, so I want to pause right here, and this is going to be another really big complaint. We go back to my 2022 Tisas. This is blue. It's in the middle of being worked on, so it looks a little bit rough. So if you look at the, this is a legal thing. They have to do this. It says on the dust cover, Zig M1911 Turkey. Okay? You guys can see how big that is, right? Okay. Then you go to my 2024 purchased Remington Rand gun, and look how tiny that is in comparison. And it says the same thing, Zig 1911 Turkey. And that's like, wow, way to go. That is so small and unobtrusive to the eye. Like, you really actually have to hold it close to your face to really see what you're reading. I mean, look at the difference. There's the 2022. Look at the 2024. And then look at this. What is that? What the heck is that, man? Look at the freaking difference. That is gaudy, Tisas. That's gaudy. I mean, honestly, that's really gross. Now, I don't know if they had to do that. I can't imagine somebody did that because they thought it looked cool or something. But that is offensive, actually. I don't like that one bit. Okay, so one thing that I do notice right away is the checkering on the spring cap is sharper. That's nice. I like that. That's an improvement. Okay, so already I'm noticing some changes here. Right here on the slide stop, it's got this little channel cut in there. Hopefully you guys can see that. This channel right here. That's new. Okay, so comparing it to a new Wilson Combat 16 pounder, I mean, it's very obvious. The wire gauge is smaller on the Tisas stock spring, and you can see the difference. Let me get out of the way here so you can see. They are shorter. Now, here's the deal. I want to be really specific on when I say these springs are wrong. The springs that I prefer are the original World War I era 1911 springs. In World War II, in that era, they shortened the springs. So there are people who have come at me and said, like, no, that's the right spring for this era pistol. I totally get it. And look, the springs have not been one way over the whole history of this gun. I get that. But I stand by my statement that when the gun is at half recoil cycle, I want a full 16-pound complement on that spring. I want all of the power right then, and I just go by the original specs. So sue me. This is not terrible. Honestly, it's not like super, super bad. It's one of the better recoil springs just on a feel level. I can just feel it. It's nice. It's good. But I do proper springs. That's just me. Looks great. All the rifling's there. That's neat. All right, the front sight stake is nice and tight. Everything feels good there. Yeah, man, so far, everything's looking really, really good. Okay, so here's another change that I just noticed. Really interesting stuff. There's a pretty hard chamfer on the breech bolt. Right here. You see that hard 45-degree cut right there? It's very interesting. That's a change. That's new. Not hating on it. I'm just noticing the differences. There's a lot of differences just from 1 year. I mean, this gun is a very different pistol. Okay, whoa, this is new. All right, let's have a look at what we got going on here. So the sear looks like the same stuff they've always done, but this disconnector is new. This is a totally polished disconnector, top to bottom. That's actually impressive. That right there is a move. That's a pro move. Wow, that's cool. Why is that a big deal? Because, you know, a lot of people, to get a smoother trigger pull, smoother action, all that stuff, the first thing to polish, disconnector. So, man, that's a baller move right there. All right, leaf spring, pretty standard fare for them. You know, these aren't the worst. They're fine. It's just they're super thin, and I don't know. I just don't have confidence that they're going to last all that long. So I'm actually going to leave the stock one in there. I have a bunch of spare parts here, and these are just like leftover parts that I've had. 16-pound spring. I've got a better magazine, some O-rings for the grips, better grips, and then a Wilson Combat Factory Plus leaf spring. I don't know. I go back and forth with that, but I feel like maybe I'll leave this one because it's actually tuned pretty nicely. Here's the thing I have to praise Tisas on. They're doing the proper mainsprings now. These are proper 23-pound springs. I've noticed that on all the ones that I've worked on in the past year. So I'm not going to mess with that. I already know it's right. I can feel that it's right. So we're going to leave that exactly where it is because I'm very happy with that. Little extractor trick here. Pop that out. Okay, this extractor is very tight, and that's a good sign. What that tells me is that somebody took the time to actually tune this extractor. So just looking down it, yes, this has absolutely been tuned. No doubt in my mind. All right, so what I did is I just very, very lightly and gently took a little bit off that corner there, and then just make sure all of this is really smooth to the touch. I don't want anything, I don't want any sharp corners, nothing to get caught on the brass there, but this extractor is telegraphing to me that it has been tuned for sure. There's a pretty good bend in there, so I'm going to leave that as it is, and we're just going to test it out. Now I'm going to start lubrication and reassembly. Okay, we're lubed up and reassembled. Now we're going to test out the extractor dry. So the way I do this, I don't like to use snap caps to test out the extractor, and I also don't like to use empty brass. The reason is I want the full weight of a 230 grain cartridge on that extractor to really test the tension. I know it's going to be handling an empty case, but I feel like, look, and this is not just my view. This is a Jason Burton view. I think it's a more realistic, fulsome, foolproof test to test it with a 230 grain ball on it. But also just dimensionally, I don't like snap caps because if I don't even need to pull out the caliper, just kind of eyeballing these. I mean, look how much shorter the snap cap is. So what I've done is I've taken a spent casing. You can see it's got a fired primer there. And it's a little bit of a unique thing that I do. But essentially, I take a 9mm casing, and it's actually inside this case. And what it's doing is it's there to prevent bullet setback. So I cut the 9mm casing down just a little bit, stick it in there. I set the bullet to the right depth, and I leave just enough edge on the 9mm casing inside this one to where it crushes a little bit, so it has some pressure on that 9mm case, and so basically this cartridge is never going to set back. Now I'll eventually chew up the rim, I'll eventually really eat up the sides of the case and the bullet itself, but this is a great test cartridge for feeding, for extractor testing, because it's a real bullet. It's properly weighted. It's as real as it gets, and it's also safe because there's no powder and no fresh primer. So we're just going to load it in the stock magazine, and yeah, that's what I thought. So the extractor is very tight, which is good. That's not a bad thing, but there's a little bit of a balance you have to strike, and I bet this will go forward if I just give it some help. Yeah. When you have a tight extractor, that's a good thing. But then you run into another problem where if this is the extractor, this bottom corner here, when this case comes up to feed, that bottom corner, with the extractor pushing really hard, is going to catch and dig into the case, and it's not going to want to feed properly. So if you're going to have a tight extractor and tune it properly, you usually are also going to have to profile it. I already did that a little, very little, but we're going to go ahead and do that all the way, because if it's not feeding here on the bench, it's not going to feed well in the field. But just for honesty's sake, we'll do it one more time. And some people are going to say you're not supposed to help the slide forward. That's not true. A properly feeding gun does not need like full speed to feed properly, because this is a controlled feed system. That bullet is being managed every step of the way. And if you need speed, that means you are having to force past a problem, right? You're using the momentum to overcome a flaw somewhere in the process. So that's my view anyway. So all my guns, I can literally help them forward and back, feed nice and slow, and they cycle like butter. And so, yeah, this is very obviously, I mean, I can see the extractor. It's grabbing the case. And again, I could probably help it forward like that. Yep. All right, so let's crack it open. Okay, so I've taken just basically knocked down this edge here, rounded it out, and then also rounded it on that end so it's nice and smooth. There's nothing grabby. So let's put it back in and test it out. Roll that test again. Oh yeah. Very smooth. Now, we're kind of killing two birds right now with this test, because the other thing we're going to test is I want to see if there's brass rubbing on the slide stop on the inside of the gun. So I'm going to run this several times. Yeah, that's so smooth, man. And if there's brass touching the slide stop, then we're going to have to work on that as well. But right now, that is a very smooth feed. And I'm just continuing to keep going so you guys see this is all one take. I'm not, editing anything in or out. That is legitimately how effective a properly profiled extractor can be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, what is that, like 4, 5, 6 in a row? And it's feeding beautifully. Yeah, really, really happy with that. And I don't see any brass staining on the slide stop, so doesn't appear to be making contact in there. It does protrude in there a good bit, but again, if there's no brass touching it, then I'm not going to mess with it. So yeah, she's seeming pretty good to go right now. So let's just talk through my initial impressions, how this thing feels right now, because this is a little bit of a different experience from my other Tisas. So let's just talk about this for a second. So first of all, have they gotten better in the past year? I'm going to say yes. Mechanically, they feel really good. I would say it's like 10% better. But specifically, I see some choices being made that are really, really good. That polished, and I mean entirely polished disconnect is aiding in a very smooth action. The trigger is also really nice. We also had that relief cut on the front of the breech bolt, which is, again, that's going to help in the feel of how the action feels. You're not going to, because normally what you have is when you're pulling the action back, boom, you see that little hump, pull back, pop. You're popping over the disconnector right there. But then on the way home, you'll have the same thing. See right there? Pop. You pop over it. But what that little relief cut on the breech bolt is doing is it's lessening that. So overall, there's less things impeding the flow of that action. And then also on the internals, that's going to lead to a better trigger pull overall. And let me tell you, this trigger's perfect. You got your normal take up. Overall, the trigger's a little sloppy in there, but it's a GI gun, so that's okay. It's not like the Colt was. It's still usable. I mean, zero creep. I couldn't find creep in that if I wanted to. It is excellent. The trigger is really nice. Really nice. The reset is prominent. And I've done nothing. I've done absolutely nothing. It's got the stock sear spring in it. I left it in there because I don't want to mess with this beautiful setup right now. The thumb safety is perfect. Superb. Can't improve it. Barrel lockup. Excellent. Really, really good. Solid. No movement. I did replace the recoil spring just because that's how I roll. So yeah, I do see some improvements on the pistol overall. I see them trying to get better. Now, some things that are different that I don't like, for one, is some of the parts, instead of being more uniform, which you can see here, like this bushing matches the slide stop matches the slide, the magazine release, the thumb safety, they all match really well, whereas now the bushing is much darker. It's like a black. The slide stop pin is the same. Thumb safety is the same. The hammer is jet black. It does not match really well. Everything else does. It looks good, but small change, Don't care for it really. The other thing, obviously, we talked about that, but I just think this is a horrible, 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 gaudy mistake with the dust cover text. I mean, who? Why? I just. That's awful, guys. That's genuinely like upsetting. That's really, really ugly. The other stuff I want to hit them on is the magazines. They're still including these Metgars. They could just take a little leap further and get some proper checkmates parkerized that would match beautifully, right? And these are proper Browning spec magazines. I don't know what this is. I don't like these at all. So that's annoying. And then, of course, the grips. Honestly, guys, they can. I already know they can change the color of the grips. They could do some properly colored grip panels, and they could stain the double diamonds darker. Simple ask, right? And particularly, I don't even want the wood grips. I know it's a nice selling point for them that they include 2 sets of grips. I would rather they just got these right and just shipped it out the door with those. And I'm sure most of you watching would agree. Is this still worth buying? Absolutely. It's still, to me, this is still my favorite pistol on the market, even with these god-awful markings on the bottom of the dust cover. I will forgive that. This is still an all-forged gun. Guys, by far, this is the best setup Tisas, and I just got lucky. This is the best setup Tisas I have ever had. The leaf spring is perfect. The thumb safety is perfect. The trigger is perfect. The action is excellent. The only thing I did was the recoil spring, and I did a little bit of profiling on the bottom edge of the extractor. Everything else, I cannot improve on it. This is set up so well. So quality gun, set up right, built right. I still think these are well worth your money. We are going to take this out to the range. We're going to see how it runs with just, good old ball ammo. Okay, here we are, post-range session. I am nothing but impressed and happy and thrilled. You know, I gotta say, Colt, take note. This is how it's supposed to go. When you buy a proper 1911, this is how it's supposed to go. So I brought 350 rounds to the range. You can see the two green cases there. Those are 100-round boxes. And then I had 3 boxes of hand loads. So the green boxes were factory new, cellular and below, 230 grain, standard ball, nothing special. I had 2 boxes of hand loads that were 200 grain. And then I had another box that was a new hand load I wanted to try out, and those were 230 grain. The gun ran everything. So I just want to kind of go through this in order, and as I talk, we're going to see a lot of shooting. I mean a lot of shooting. So I started out doing something that I usually don't do, which was I ran one magazine through with the Metgar mags that the guns come with. And I'll be honest, I ran it just because I was pretty convinced that it was going to have a failure. I was going to show the camera, and then I was going to discard those mags and keep moving. Well, fast forward, I ran the first 100-round box, one entire green box, through only the Metgar magazines. They functioned 100%. Now, I don't know if these are a newer magazine. I don't know. I haven't really examined and studied the entire gun in depth enough to really know. But I will tell you, this is a sharp turn of events. In the past, I have had just lackluster results with Metgars. I've never liked them. They often fail to lock open. But guys, facts are facts. I always say I love being proven wrong or having my mind change. That's a good day when that happens. And so, listen, as of right now, I have full trust in the mags that came with this gun. I don't know if it's changes with the gun. I don't know if it's changes with the mag. I legit don't know. Now, people are right here are going to chime in and say, see, Metgar mags have always been good. That's not what I'm saying. Because in the past, I have had a lot of issues with Metgars. I'm not exactly a fan of them. So this is not, vindication of all Metgar mags. I'm saying the 2 that came with this gun worked in this gun. That's all I'm saying. Basically, what I'm going to do with these, because I don't care that much about them, these are going to stay loaded for like a good home defense load or something like that. And yeah, I'll let these get beat up because they clearly work with this gun. So, first 100 rounds, it ran beautifully. Man, I got to just reiterate everything I said on the bench portion. The trigger is fantastic. The barrel lockup is excellent, and it translates. The thumb safety is perfect. The grip safety is perfect. This is without a doubt the best setup 1911 that I've just purchased, and here it comes. You guys ready for it? Pulled it out of the box. Oh. It's the best one that I've ever had, hands down. And I'm just, look, this is a sample size of 1, but we're going to talk about a friend of mine's experience, somebody you guys know, that has been sort of experiencing this with a new Tisas right along with me. But basically, I notice Tisas trying new things. I see you, Tisas. I see these improvements. Like we talked about in the range or the bench portion, the disconnector, the obvious extra work on the relief cut on the sear, taking the creep out. That's excellent. They've really honed in the thumb safety. That's excellent. Like, all these things are adding up to a really well done pistol. So I ran through the first 100 rounds with the, Metgar mags. Then I opened it up to some hand loads. And this is where it was just like hand loads and other mags. I just ran everything. I stopped really keeping track because I was losing daylight. So it was time to go all gas, no brakes. We got to get this ammo down the pipe. And it ran everything. No hiccups, nothing felt funny. Again, it's how a proper 1911 should run. Now, I will say the Extractor was tuned pretty well. as you saw in the first half of the video here. And all I did was profile the bottom of the extractor a bit. That worked great. What I did notice, though, is as the day went on, I did notice the ejection becoming just a little more erratic. It was less regular to the right. I started to get, a little bit of straight up, a little bit of straight back, even maybe like 2 or 3 to the left, which is, those are the extractors telling us a story there. So when I got home, I did clean the gun up and I gave it a little bit more love. I wish I would have done it on the range just so I could verify that it was corrected. But again, I was fighting daylight, so I really had to keep moving. Of course, we did back it up to the 35 yard line. Did some accuracy shooting. And again, guys, the trigger, just superb. It's perfectly crisp. I mean, literally, I can't improve it. If I wanted to, I couldn't. Polishing it, no thank you. I don't want to mess it up, frankly. I don't want to change it at all. All in all, guys, the gun was perfectly reliable. Everything worked exactly as it should. My only criticism of the gun in the shooting portion was, again, the extractor needed a little bit more love, but, I'm nitpicking. Like, if you go back to my extractor video where I said you don't need to mess with it, it fits for this gun. I don't need to mess with it. Like, factory 1911s, when they're well built, it doesn't really matter where the brass is going. The only reason most of us mess with them is because we just want it to go in a certain spot. It's not like the gun ceasing to function, right? So it's ejecting the brass reliably, no big deal. So it's not like a function thing. And sometimes people get a little bit too autistic about this subject, where it's like, unless it's perfect, the gun's going to explode when I need it to run. That's that we draw this really strange line from, if it's not perfect, my life is in danger. And that's not the case here. This is just like, I'm being picky. I'm saying, look, if I got to pick on something, the extractor needed a little bit more tension. So I just want to be really clear about that. Just a few more little notes here. The sights are dead on. They are straight in the slide, which is good. I don't like when sights show up crooked. These are great. The front tenon is still tight. Everything's good there. The gun didn't really loosen up much with all that shooting today. It's still a surprisingly good slide to frame fit. So no complaints there. The grips didn't move. They didn't come loose because O-rings. In terms of internal wear, very minimal. I mean, the gun it feels right, guys. It feels great. So that is a good glimpse of what you should expect from a properly built 1911, and specifically, that's what you should expect from a Tisas. These guns are rugged. They're well built. Do you have to, do some setup on them? Yes. But once again, here we are. We're proving that a properly built 1911 runs reliably, and break-in periods aren't real if you just spend a few minutes and look the gun over, correct any issues that might have come from the factory. There was no break-in required. So really my purpose in this video was twofold. When I got this pistol, I just wanted another Remington Rand copy in the house. But what it's turned into is, hey, what is Tisas like today versus a year ago? And as you saw, there are some legitimate changes. They're stepping up their game. The overall fit is better. I see more hands-on work being done, specifically the extractor. The sear is much better. They're actually doing a proper relief cut, so there's zero creep. The disconnector being fully polished, impressive, nice. Like, that's a nice touch. And overall, the gun just seems really well done. Of course, we're going to hit them really hard on this gaudy text on the dust cover. I am offended by that. If anybody from Tisas watches this, you should know you need to explain that the government made you do that, because right now I think that you guys are just ding-dongs. That's what it feels like, because this was a stupid choice if you guys did that because it's super cool. It's not cool. It's bad. Now, I alluded to something earlier, and I want to kind of finish the video out with this. Several Patreon members, I want to say it's more than 5, all got this same pistol on the same sale from Palmetto State Armory. the Halloween sale. Got this for $320, which is, God, that's such a good deal. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. That's such a good deal. And specifically, Jolly Roger, you know, he and I have been talking a lot. He got his, I think, the same day that I got mine. He's a Colt guy through and through. He's got a pile of Colts, and that's kind of all he does. This is his first Tisas, and he was thoroughly impressed. But also, the reason I'm bringing him up is we were comparing notes. Like, okay, what's your trigger like? What's your safety like? What's the barrel like? And we jumped on a call together, and we went through everything. And again, sample size of 2, but on both guns, both of our guns, we had the same experience. Excellent, excellent work. Not only that, several of the guys on Patreon, they got them. Same thing, like, yes, excellent, excellent. So I'm seeing consistency. Right now, I would say in the past 5 to 6 months, I have personally seen a sample size of this particular model of somewhere around 12, 13 guns. And I'm seeing this same consistency across the board. You see some variation on like the color of parkerization because it's a real parkerization job. So there's some variation there. I am seeing some variation on like trigger weights. You know, some people's are showing up a little bit heavier. Some people's are showing up a little bit lighter. But overall, consistent, well done, well built. I just, man, I'm so impressed. I will also say, Tisas is the first company that is building their guns and tuning them like from the factory so well at a factory level. I did almost nothing to this pistol. The only thing I've done is put in a new recoil spring and adjust the extractor corner. That's it. It's got the stock leaf spring. It's got the stock mainspring. I've done nothing to the thumb safety, to the grip safety, to the sear, to the hammer, to the disconnector, to the barrel. Nothing. That, for me personally, and you guys who've been around the channel for a while know, that for me, that's a big deal. Because I'm always talking about how, like, nobody gets it right. They don't set these guns up properly. They're not sprung properly. And slowly but surely, we are taking baby steps towards Tisas being probably the first company where you can literally run them out of the box. Now, I'm still going to suggest a full run through and make sure it's tuned and set up right. I'm always going to check that. But, like, this for me is a big deal. This is actually a gun that's set up right. Not to my preference, but I mean just like objectively correct, good, solid. I proved it today. 350 rounds. Excellent. Excellent. So anyway, I could go on and on about this, but I don't want this video to be, 2.5 hours long. Suffice it to say, everybody, these guns are well worth your money. If you're looking for a solid World War II gun, this is it. You can trust your life with these. And here's the other thing. Let's say you don't want to carry it and you just want a gun to build on. A Caspian frame costs the same price as this complete pistol, and it's built so well. So you can use these as a build platform. You can use them, just to buy them for what they are. They're great to learn on, and no matter what you do, they're a good purchase. And, I loved it so much, I bought a second one, and I'm glad I did, man. The only thing I'm going to hit them on, man, is that text. That is just so bad. But overall, I think right now, Tisas is making the best guns that they have made. And I have a good sample size over the past, 4 years, now 3 years. To really say that, I can say that with integrity, that I see the improvement. They're trying. This is real effort. You don't have this many improvements. You don't get it this right by accident. So, there you go. That is the new Tisas. I can't recommend it enough, everybody. Go buy one of these. And listen, you don't even have to get this one. Now, I prefer this one because it's got the standard ejection port. You got a Parkerized gun, so it's going to be a lot more corrosion resistant. You don't have to deal with finish buildup issues and all that. To me, this is the best 1911 on the market right now. Within I would say $1,200 at the factory level for a GI gun. Nobody's doing it like this. But even if you don't want to do this, man, get the A1 Government, right? It's got the lowered ejection port, Cerakoted. It's great. If you don't want to do that, you can get the service, the A1 service, I believe it is, or the service A1. I can't remember specifically. That one comes with a flat mainspring housing, all black, right? Wide spur hammer. It's set up a little bit differently. You got that option. So there we go, everybody. Love this pistol. So happy I got it. I want to get another one. Like, I love them so much, man. I just want to have a rack full of them. I love these guns, and I hope you get one. I hope you love it too. Now, I've got a video that's going to be coming out titled, Is Tisas Perfect? Because I rant and I rave about them. The answer is no, they're not perfect. There's a lot to criticize on them besides the gaudy dust cover text. So there are things that I think they could do better, and we're going to hit them hard on those in an upcoming video. But even so, I still think for a GI gun on the factory level, this is the best one on the market, hands down, all the way up into the $1,200 price range. And I will stand on that. Now, if this video ages and 5 years goes by and there's somebody doing it better, well, this statement is not binding. So, but as of 2025, November 2025, this is the best one, hands down. All right, thank you guys for watching. And listen, if you want to come be a part of the Patreon, it's a wonderful community. We've got a lot of good people on there. It is a vibrant community. We're always talking. We're always having a great time. We also have videos on there that I cannot do on YouTube because they're just more technical in nature. So if you want to know how to do things specifically and in detail, that's where all of that lives for me. And then on top of that, I prioritize communications with the Patreons all the time. So if I've got 10 YouTube comments and I've got 10 Patreon messages or comments, Patreon gets it first. And as the channel grows, this is going to become more valuable because I'm one guy. I'm building a team of people to help me manage the load, and I'm so thankful for those that have signed on for that. But the day is here where I just can't keep up with all the YouTube comments. So if you're looking for help, if you're want to talk about something and go through some details, Patreon's the way to do it. And again, we're building a library to really be helpful for people. So, all right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.